Whispers of the Heart. It was the kind of evening that made your heart ache with its beauty. The sun hung low on the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, as if bidding the world a tender farewell. In the quiet town of Havenbrook, nestled amidst rolling hills and dense woods, life moved at an unhurried pace. Here, in this picturesque setting, love often bloomed like the wildflowers that dotted the landscape, unexpected and unbidden. Emma Carter sat on the wooden bench by the lake, her sketchbook balanced on her knees. She was an artist, though she never referred to herself as one aloud. Her days were spent teaching the art at the local school, and her evenings were devoted to creating pieces that captured the essence of Havenbrook. Today, her focus was on the lake, its surface shimmering under the fading sunlight. But her concentration wavered as her thoughts drifted to the man she'd been avoiding for months. Ethan Hart. Ethan had returned to Havenbrook after nearly a decade. Once the town's golden boy, he'd left for the city to chase his dreams, leaving behind whispers of heartbreak and unspoken goodbyes. Now he was back, and his presence stirred emotions Emma had buried long ago. She'd been 18 when Ethan left, just on the cusp of understanding what love truly meant. They'd shared fleeting moments, a stolen dance at the town fair, long conversations under the oak tree, and a kiss that lingered in her memory like a bittersweet melody. But he'd never promised her anything. And when he'd left, it was as though he'd taken a piece of her heart with him. Lost in thought, are we? The voice startled her, and she looked up to find Ethan standing a few feet away. He looked older, more rugged, with faint lines around his eyes that hinted at both laughter and sorrow. Yet his smile was the same, a disarming blend of warmth and mischief. Emma's heart skipped a beat, but she masked her emotions with a polite smile. Just enjoying the view. Ethan's gaze shifted to the lake. It's as beautiful as I remember. Silence stretched between them, heavy with words unsaid. Emma's fingers tightened around her pencil as she forced herself to focus on her sketch. But Ethan wasn't one to be easily ignored. How have you been, Emma? He asked, his tone soft. She hesitated before replying, I've been fine. Busy with work. Still drawing, I see. Yes. And you? What brings you back to Havenbrook? Ethan's smile faltered. Family reasons. My dad's not doing well. I've taken over the farm for now. I'm sorry to hear that, she said, her voice sincere. He nodded, his gaze lingering on her. I've missed this place. And the people in it. Emma's cheeks flushed, but she refused to let his words affect her. It's good to see you back. Havenbrook's always been your home. As Ethan began to reply, a sudden gust of wind caught the edge of Emma's sketchbook, flipping the pages. He reached out instinctively to steady it, his hand brushing against hers. The touch was fleeting, but it sent a jolt through Emma, leaving her momentarily breathless. Looks like the wind has other plans, he said with a chuckle. She managed a laugh, quickly closing the sketchbook. I should get going. It's getting late. Ethan stepped aside, giving her room to stand. Emma, would you? I mean, if you're free, maybe we could catch up sometime? It's been a long time. Her heart warred with her mind. She'd spent years convincing herself that Ethan Hart was a chapter she'd closed. Yet here he was, reopening the book with a single sentence. Maybe, she said, her voice barely above a whisper, before walking away. Over the next few weeks, their paths crossed often. Havenbrook was small, and avoiding someone was nearly impossible. Each encounter chipped away at Emma's resolve, and she found herself wondering if fate was trying to tell her something. One afternoon, as she was browsing the shelves at the town's only bookstore, Ethan appeared beside her. Still a fan of romance novels? He teased, holding up a book she'd been eyeing. She rolled her eyes, but couldn't suppress a smile. Still full of witty remarks, I see. It's one of my few talents, he said with a grin. They ended up sharing coffee at the small cafe next door. Conversation flowed easily, as if the years apart had melted away. Ethan spoke of his life in the city, the successes, the failures, and the emptiness that had eventually brought him back to Havenbrook. Emma listened, her defenses slowly crumbling. Do you ever regret leaving? She asked. Ethan's expression turned serious. Sometimes. But I think I needed to leave to understand what really mattered. And what's that? His gaze locked onto hers, and the intensity in his eyes made her pulse quicken. Home. Family. People who care about you. The unspoken implication hung in the air between them, and Emma felt her heart whispering what her mind refused to acknowledge. As autumn turned to winter, Ethan and Emma's friendship deepened. They spent evenings walking through snow-dusted streets, sharing memories and dreams. Slowly, Emma began to trust him again, though the fear of heartbreak lingered like a shadow. One evening, as they stood on the bridge overlooking the frozen lake, Ethan took her hand. Emma, there's something I need to say. Her breath hitched. What is it? I never stopped thinking about you. Even when I was miles away, you were always in my heart. Tears welled in her eyes as she whispered, Why now, Ethan? Why after all this time? Because I was a fool to leave without telling you how I felt. And I don't want to make that mistake again. The sincerity in his voice broke through her walls, and she found herself leaning into him, their foreheads touching. I'm scared, she admitted. So am I, he said. But sometimes, the best things in life are worth the risk. And as their lips met, it was as if the whispers of their hearts finally found a voice, weaving a melody of love that neither time nor distance could silence. DSKO or Domain translate Karen.